I'm Bev Adams. I'm an independent demonstrator with Stampin' Up! I'd like to demonstrate this card for you. It's made with the Botanical coordinated products from Stampin' Up! And the envelope is lined. We have a lot of products in our catalog that go together. You can get a bundle that comes with 3 items. It comes with the framelits, the stamp sets, as well as the paper. You can also get the Botanical Gardens jewels and washi tape and that coordinated cardstock pack. For today's project, I'm using the Botanical blooms and the framelits. I'm using the Designer Series paper. This is actually 12 by 12, but I've cut it down 6 by 6. This is the size we're going to need for our project. This is kind of nice because you can actually stamp on the Designer Series paper with the coordinated stamps. In the Celebration catalog, there's 2 more products that coordinate with this set. Botanicals for You stamp set, and also this vellum stack. This vellum stack is just gorgeous. I don't know if this shows up. I think it does. All of the instructions and dimensions will be on my website. My card base is the 4 1/4 by 11 Hello Honey. 2 pieces of Whisper White that are 2 3/4 by 5 1/4. One for the inside and one for the outside. Some scraps of Mint Macaron, Old Olive, Hello Honey, Whisper White, and Mossy Meadow. And this is a strip of that vellum cardstock. So this is 5 1/2 by 1 1/2. So you can get a lot out of the 6 by 6. This framelit set has so many wonderful pieces. I like to keep my framelits on magnetic sheets. I get the business card sheets that I get from my local office supply store. You can also, I understand, get magnetic sheets from the hardware store that are made to go over vent covers. This set had so many pieces that I could just barely get them onto my sheet, though. To make sure that I could get them all back on the sheet, and also to make sure I have all my pieces, I drew around the piece with our white gel pens so that I can keep track. This lovely border piece is what I'm going to use. Normally you cut 1 layer at a time, but I'm going to cut 2 layers. I am using my magnetic platform. I'm going to put the vellum on top of the cardstock base on the right side. Then I'm going to put my border on top of this. You want to be sure and have the cutting edge. This one cuts the edge, this one cuts holes. So make sure to have the cutting edge on the outside. The cutting edge goes to the end of this stem, and so I'm going to put the end of that stem right at the fold of my card. And then just make sure the rest is somewhere on this vellum section. Cover this with your other cutting plate and run this through the Big Shot. So that should cut both pieces. We are going to use this piece. I tried to find a way to use this piece because I think this is really beautiful. We're not going to use the vellum scraps, but you may want to use the cardstock scraps for later, so save those. Then use your snips to cut the fold right up to that stem. I'm going to adhere this onto the inside of the card, matching here. Because it's vellum, we want to be very selective on where we put the adhesive. We'll be covering those up with flowers. So I'm just going to use a spot of adhesive here. I'm using the liquid glue, but it doesn't seem to matter which adhesive you use, they will all show. I'm going to stamp the large greeting from Botanicals for You in Old Olive on the Whisper White cardstock on the left side. And we're going to stamp On Your Special Day in the middle of this other piece of white cardstock It just barely fits. I'm going to stamp the flowers from Botanicals for You in mint macaron. I think of mint macaron as being green, but on this series it really kind of looks blue to me. I don't know if you noticed that I had all three small flowers on one block, and I was able to look through my blocks to arrange my leaves so that they should fit, and I'm stamping these in Old Olive. We can go ahead and adhere these on the inside of our card. And we want to be sure and have this to the left so that it doesn't show through. And onto the front. Next we're going to do all of our cutting, and I've designed this card so you only have to run it through the Big Shop one time. I'm using the magnetic platform and also the precision base plate. Be sure not to pinch your fingers in here. I like to cut with my cutting blades up. It's so much easier to replace the less expensive clear plates. You can get all of these in one go through, and I've got a pattern here. You could actually cut this out and put it on the plate if you'd like, and you can put this right on here. So I'm going to place, I'm using basically all of the framelits. They don't have to be precisely on those, just so long as you have the pieces under the cardstock. Cover this up with your cutting plate and run this through the Big Shot. It's not a bad idea to run it through a couple of times on the Big Shot. But obviously they're going to pop right out. If they don't pop right out, they do have little holes in them, so you can use a piercing tool or a needle or something. And because we were cutting up away from this paper, this is ready to use again. And I want to make sure and get all my pieces back on my platform, because with so many pieces, I don't want to accidentally lose any. We can also stamp these leaves, and it is photopolymer, and for a change I'm going to remember my mat, so I'm putting that underneath. And these leaves can be stamped, and I'm stamping those in Old Olive again. If I could get my head right over this stamp without getting my head in the way, it would be easier. I think that these stamping on these cutouts really adds a lot to those. And where's my little leaf? Here it is. Now it's just a matter of arranging all of these on my card. You can arrange these any way you'd like. I'm putting a little dot over the adhesive that I used for the vellum. Covering that up. Using a little bit of the liquid glue on this lacy fern leaf. You could use the fine tip glue pen on that as well. If you'd like to add a little dimension to the flowers, you can just poke them. These practically have dimension on their own. And you can also run your, I'm using my piercing tool, but you could use any kind of pen. Add some dimension to those. And there's no right or wrong way to arrange these. I do want to warn you that when you're putting items over this cutout part, you want to be sure to add your glue to the card base so you don't get glue going through. These little pieces that we saved from when we cut out the edge, we can make another flower with those. And they do have kind of one end that's more pointy than the other, and I found that if you put those to the center, it will work out better. Get more petals around the flower. And then just add some pearls to the center of the flowers. Bringing back in my magnetic platform without the precision plate, my cutting mat, my designer series paper, and my framelit. Cover up with the non-cutting, run this through the Big Shot, and that gives me my envelope liner. All I'm going to do is put adhesive on this side, adhesive of your choice, any of them will work. Slip this in, and adhere that down, and then just hold it and fold it. And then you have your envelope liner. Of course, you can stamp your envelope front like I did here. So this is just some of the products that coordinate with Botanical Blooms bundle. I really love it. I think you will too. If you want it, come on over to BevAdams.com. And I'll have a link for ordering, and also I'll have your directions for you. Check out my frequent shopper rewards program too. Talk to you soon. Bye.